Many times, Friday of Davis Cup week is referred to as day one, for that's when the big groups, 2, 1, and World Group, start their rubber matches. 2 singles rubbers on Friday, a doubles rubber on Saturday, and then reverse singles on Sunday, which means the matchups on Friday are reversed on Sunday. And of course, that's if necessary. If one team wins all the matches on the 2 matches on Friday and the rubber doubles rubber on Saturday, that's a 3-love lead. And even if the other team wins the 2 on Sunday, it won't matter. So those are called dead rubbers, basically. And they can or they don't have to be played, but many times are played out. All singles matches or singles rubber matches, singles rubbers, and the doubles rubbers, they're all 5 sets, best of 5. If they're dead rubbers, though, they're only best of 3. So the one difference here, though, is even though the teams have been practicing all week and they call Friday day 1 because that's when they actually play live competition, Group 3 and Group 4 actually have been playing live competition all week starting Monday because they have that round robin that I explained in my preview. So Group 4 only has Asia, Oceania left in it. There's no more of the Americas, Europe, or Africa in Group 4. So that's going on this week in Group 4, the Asia group. And then in Group 3, the Americas already went off in June, as you see. Europe, so they're all done. Europe in May, and Africa in May. So Asia's the only one left going on right now. So Asia's going on in both Group 4 and Group 3. There will be a relegation playoff. They played round robin and they just finished that today on Friday. So now they will have a playoff to see who's the 2 teams that are relegated to Group 4 for next year, and then the 2 teams in Group 4 will be promoted up to Asia for next year. And then they're also going to have their promotional playoffs here in Group 3 to see who goes up to Group 2. In the meantime, Group 2 is done in the tie system. Remember, this is round robin, and it's all played in this particular region. It's Dubai. But here in the round robin, there's a home team and an away team, and the home team gets to choose surface and ball. Now, they've already had relegation in Group 2. So they're ready to be relegated. There's 2 teams from Europe, 1 from Asia, and then 1 from America. So we'll all be relegated, and then the ones that are decided in the Group 3 promotions will be moved up after the end of this week. In the meantime, they have to do the promotional playoffs now of Group 2 to see who gets moved up to Group 1. Starting off, well, we'll actually go down to the bottom, and we'll start off with the Americas. We have El Salvador and Venezuela, seeing if one of these 2 teams, these are 2 upstart teams that have been doing better in recent history, and to see if one of them will make the move to Group 2, possibly for the first time. I'm not sure. I have to check the history on that. El Salvador has the Arevalo brothers. One's a little older than the other, 4 years, Rafael, but the younger one's the better one. You can see his ranking, 386. And Venezuela had a couple guys that were coming up. Martinez down there had been a kind of a rising star, especially Pseudo. He had been looked at as a top young kid, though he's had a little struggles, but he is ranked 229, which isn't terrible. Rodriguez has been coming up a little surprisingly as well. So Venezuela is definitely the favorite, but it is in El Salvador, as you can see here. So that's the advantage they have. They picked a hard court because Venezuela is more of a clay type of players. And it looks like it worked in the first rubber, where the older Rafael Arevalo actually upset Pseudo. Pseudo had a really good Davis Cup a couple years ago, but this last year or so he's not been as good. And I don't know if it's physical or what's happening, but as you can see here, Pseudo did take the first set. And by the way, the players on top are the home team, and the players on the bottom are the away team. The stars next to the player, as you can see there close up, the stars are the winner. So anyways, and then the score line underneath is based on the home team. For instance, Arevalo lost the first set 7-5, and then won the next 3, 6-3, 7-6, 6-1. So that's a real big upset there. Then I have another upset. The better Arevalo, who's ranked a lot better than his older brother, that was Marcelo, actually was a big upset by Rodriguez. But I guess it's not too big because Rodriguez is actually a little higher ranked, 330 to 386. So that was up in the air anyway. So Venezuela should have maybe had both of these rubbers. So if Pseudo had been playing up to his ability. So again, this Arevalo actually lost the first set. Won the first set, then lost the next 3. While his older brother lost the first set and won the next 3. So One Arevalo won, the one that you wouldn't have expected, and then the better one, who's the younger one, actually lost. And here we are, one apiece as they head into Saturday's crucial doubles match. Then we have Asia and the Philippines and New Zealand are battling to get to Group 2. And here you can see Gonzalez. Venus has been around for a while, and so is Stratham. Two big veterans. You really expect that New Zealand has the edge because of their veteran leadership. There was a guy named Huey for the Philippines who's very old, but has done very well in the past, but he's getting a little too old now, so they went with their younger team here. In fact, we can take a quick look and see the ages right over here. And we have Gonzalez. Oh, he's not that young, actually. This is just a lot of veterans, basically, except for the kid at the bottom, but he's not playing. And there's Huey, who's actually almost 30. But actually, Archilla is actually older. He's over 30. Oh, my goodness. So that's an old Philippine team. And this is a veteran team over here in New Zealand, but they're actually a little younger. Wow, I didn't even know that. Okay, so back to this. Well, and you can tell by the ranks that the New Zealanders are better. Venus has had a higher ranking of that in the past, too. But they don't like clay so much, and you can see this in the Philippines, and they took the clay wisely. And a Yonex ball, which is a little bit slower. A bigger ball, a little bit bigger. So you would expect that would help them, and you can see the matches were tough, especially the first one, where Gonzalez, the higher ranked, he's the only one under 1,000, still really low rank, but you know, he lost, but he gave it a 5-set effort, but it looks like he was pooped out in the end, 6-love. And then Stratham got the second one. So New Zealand is, as you would expect by ranking, and they're just better, even though it's clay. They took care of the business. It gave Gonzalez a little bit of a chance, but Archilla wasn't even close to Stratham, and he's an old guy. I mean, Archilla's like 35, so New Zealand looks in control of that tie. Moving on to, let's see what Europe did here in the Group 2 promotions. We have 2 of them in Europe, Africa, because there's more teams. Moldova has a guy named Albot, who was a real top-notch junior at one time. He's a little guy. He's ranked around 200 now, but he's a little guy. He really can run. He can take it quick. His favorite surface is carpet, so good luck with that. They don't really use that anymore, a little bit. But Moldova was they're right near Romania, for anybody who doesn't know where they're located. They're to the east of Romania. And they have some quick air. They like it a little quicker. They can play clay too, but I guess because it's Portugal, who's all about the clay, they took an indoor hard court, but root court hard's not that fast. But the Dunlop Fort Old Court bar can be pretty fast, especially with a little bit of the climate there, and indoors it'll be pretty quick. And so I'm sure Albert was looking for some quick points. He likes to take it quick. And he beat the clay courter Elias from Portugal, who's actually pretty good. Portugal has the better team. Dubarenko for Moldova, as you see there, is actually younger. He's only like 19 or 20. And so definitely Sousa and Elias are much better. And they also have a guy named Machado, who was on the bench, who's a little older. But Portugal's definitely the much better team, but the conditions are totally for the home team here. Good choice of surface and ball. I actually would have went a little faster, but who knows, maybe they tried faster. They used a root court tournament, which is more of it's a PVC carpet with paint on top. But they actually lost, or no, they actually beat Hungary earlier in the year using that. But Albert wasn't quite as good on that, so maybe he wanted just a. Actually, this will move a little faster. The root court hard court, it's a little harder, but it's a little higher bouncing. But maybe he wanted that for his defense too. I'm not sure. But whatever he wanted, it worked. He won in 4 sets over Elias, which you kind of expected of the surface. And then Sousa, he can actually play hard courts. This was maybe a little too quick indoors for him, but against Dubarenko, he's just too good. And you can see it with a tough one. But he pulled it out. He wore the guy out, Dubarenko, a thin guy, a thin kid. And Sousa's a pretty strong player, so he wore him out after losing the first set. So that's 1-all, and Portugal is going to probably look to try to take the doubles and then have the edge going into Sunday. But Moldova will fight, and they've got the right conditions. They picked a good pretty good pick on the surface. Anyways, and then Latvia, we only know really one guy for sure is Galbis there. He's the famous one, and they usually depend on him, and if he doesn't play, they lose. But they have a new guy named Libietis, you can see up there, who is just coming up. He has a good junior. He was like number 16. He's a big guy. He's bigger than Galbis, about the same height, but broader. And he can leap and jump. And he reminds me almost Jack Sock from America, but actually with more, even a little bigger than Jack Sock. And very powerful. And he's actually playing for the University of Tennessee in college. And the link below, you'll see, you can read more about him and see a video on his coach talking about him. A lot of potential, this kid. But he's still very young. And though it was in Latvia, and they picked a plexi-pave indoor, which is pretty quick, it's definitely quicker than the root court, because it's more of an outdoor kind of acrylic, which is harder and faster. And the Dunlop Fort Oak Court bar again, so this is going to be pretty quick. But Latvia is a slower climate, and even the climate does affect the indoors, because that's the kind of air you're going to get indoors. But it depends on the heating and other things they do indoors. But overall, I'd expect the indoors Latvia to be a little slower in the air, but that plexi-pave is definitely faster, and that's going to help a guy like Galbus, the big power guys, and Libietis. But as you can see, Kontanen is part of a good bunch of Finn guys, Finnish. Jarkko Nieminen is usually their leader there, but he didn't show up. But we can see, we'll pop it right over here. That's the younger Kontanen who actually played there. You can see, we'll go right over here. Mickey Kontanen. He's just coming up. He's pretty young. His older brother Henry was a very top junior. I think he was #1 at one time, but he's had a lot of knee injuries since, and he's probably not totally physically fit. That's why he's not starting. So he's not there. Jarkko Nieminen didn't make the trip, so they're really undermanned. And now they're in Latvia on the fast courts, which really don't bother them. So that's going to help Galbus, but it's not going to bother Finland either. And as you can see, the younger brother came through. He's a lot smaller. His older brother Henry is a tall 6'3" big guy, but the younger one's small, but he came through in 4 sets. Big stuff for him. Libietis was just too young, I guess. Wasn't ready for Davis Cup yet. I think that was his first start. Then Galbus did his job on the journeyman, Paulanen. So that's one apiece. But with Galbus, they should be able to come through that. I think Galbus and Libietis are going to team up in doubles against the Kontanen brothers. So that's going to really tell who's going to win that. The doubles are going to be hugely important there the next day. Okay, now we go up to Group 1. These are relegation playoffs, as they've already had their promotional playoffs. The guys that have gotten promoted already in Group 1 are playing in the World Group playoffs this week. But we'll first hit up the relegation playoffs, and we have the Americas and the Asia-Oceania. First, the Americas, Dominican Republic, trying to stay in Group 1. They've never gotten to World Group yet, but they want to just hold on to their Group 1 position here. And so far, they're looking pretty good. They're at home. They actually, instead of using clay, they used a plexi-pave. I was just down in the DR. You can see my videos on YouTube about the DR clay courts that they use. They're very old school. And they like to use plexi-pave for their hard courts, just standard plexi-pave. Again, a Wilson championship ball. They like Wilson, but they can't really afford to buy there's an amateur tennis ball. So anyways, either way, Victor Estrella, they have the better team. Though Cape de Ville should be better, but he's having a terrible year. He's not been fit. And amazingly, Hernandez, a young guy, actually upset him. And then you knew Australia. He's probably the best player of everybody going in right now. He's had a tough year too, but he's really been doing better lately. Had a little back injury in the qualifying at the U.S. Open, but he's had a couple weeks to rest, and he's looking good here. So at home on the plexi pave, the Chileans like the clay court, so that helps the Dominicans. And there's no Gonzo, Fernando Gonzalez, the big Chilean hero. So he's gone. Masu, a couple big Chileans no longer there. So Cape de Ville, it's up to him, and he's having a terrible year. He lost, so the 2-0 lead for the Dominican Republic. They're looking good to maintain their spot in Group 1. And then we have Rungkat. Rungkat is for Indonesia, and he's been really good in Davis Cup. He was a pretty good junior, but he hasn't been so good this year, and I think injuries are catching up to him. So here we have Taiwan and Indonesia, and we have no Heng-Sen Liu. He's the big player for Taiwan, but he didn't show up. He's a little unfit after his big U.S. Open, and he had good North Carolina this year too, right before the U.S. Open, so he's tired. But Wang and Chen, and I don't know much about these guys, but they did a good job there, and Taiwan, even without Heng-Sen Liu, is up 2-0, mainly because, look at Rungkat. Oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong one there. Boom, there. Oh, still got the wrong one. There we go. Rungkat, down to 505. He was up in the 200s, I think, at one time, so he's really fallen, and they really have no one else besides him over there in Indonesia. And here, Chen, Wang, new guys coming up here. Look at their, well, Chen's not, but Wang's young. Some okay Taiwanese there, even without Liu, and so they're doing the job you'd expect they would be able to do. And they are at home, as you see. Hard court, probably a Deco turf, but you never know. Could be a plexi-pave. But anyway, Wilson Australian Open. So good job by them. They're in charge. And then we have another Group 1 playoffs. Now, these aren't relegation playoffs because there's so many teams in Europe, Africa. They still have got to play this, and whoever loses this then has to go to the relegation playoffs, which will be in October. So here we have South Africa, RSA, and they're having a rough year. They haven't had Kevin Anderson at all. They're missing some other people. DeVos did come back finally here, and you can see there. But this was a home match for Slovenia, and they're really strong. I'm surprised they're even playing relegation. I mean, they have a chance to be good enough to get to the World Group eventually. But Blazrola is young. He just is coming from He played Ohio State in college all year, so he's just coming out of that and had some time to play Davis Cup now. And he's really been hot, had a great summer. And on the clay here, outdoor, and they use the extra duty ball, which is not for clay. The Wilson U.S. Open, you're supposed to use regular duty, so that extra duty is really bad for that. And, I mean, in other words, it's going to be real slow. So they must have made a slow clay, and that really hurt DeVos needs fast conditions, and so does this guy Roloff in South Africa. South Africans they're used to altitude, faster conditions, and it's slow clay is not good for them in a slow ball. So definitely you can see Kavchik. I'd almost thought he might wear out because he wears down a lot if it's too slow, but obviously this guy Rolf couldn't even handle it. So Slovenia is in total charge there. Great experience for Blazrola. And then the Slovaks were at home in the Slovak Republic against Sweden. Now the funny thing is, you think they would go with something slower because Sweden likes it faster, but they're way too weak physically. So guys like Martin, who was kind of wearing out in the U.S. Open qualifying, I saw him live. Lacko is always wearing out in the body and the mind. And Klizan didn't even start because he's so fatigued. He had a horrible U.S. Open. He's having a horrible year. So the Slovaks need something fast just for their bodies. So deco color on wood is what this is, and that's fast. Wilson U.S. Open, extra duty, a little slower so they can have some control, because the Slovak air tends to be pretty quick, and indoors especially. So that's going to be fast conditions even with that slower ball. And obviously Martin and Lacko took advantage of it. Arvidsson and Eriksson are some Swedes that are coming up, but I mean they could really, since Soderling has been hurt and hasn't been playing, I mean you can go over here and just see. Arvidsson's 565, Eriksson's 484. That's not going to cut it against guys like Klizan, Lacko, all in the top 100, Martin close. So, the Slovaks are understandably ahead. So a lot of really not close ties this time. Usually there's a lot of drama in this Davis Cup. This looks like one that's not too bad. So, looks like the Slovaks and Slovenia will both not have to play relegation, and South Africa and Sweden will. Sweden really needs Soderling to come back. And now finally the World Group playoffs. We have 8. 4 were promoted from Europe, Africa in Group 1. 2 from the Asia and 2 from Americas. That means 8 against the 8 losers of the round of 16 of the World Group back in February. Now they don't play 8 on 8 like that. Sometimes we have 2 that are from the Group 1s. Australia's from Asia side and Poland's from the Europe. They played each other. And then sometimes you have 2 from the World Group playing each other. Why? I have no idea. It's some kind of logistics. I've never learned why that is. I don't know why they just don't go 8 from Zone Group 1, 8 against the 8 of World Group, but they don't do it exactly that way. Most of it's like that, but not all of it. Like this, Ukraine is from Group 1 and Spain is from World Group. Now this is a funny one because Spain has been the team of the decade, the last 2 decades basically, and their depth on their team is incredible, but they've had so many injuries. As I said in my preview, this year they were really short-handed. So they are now struggling just to stay in World Group, but they're not having too much a problem. Actually, this first match I thought would have been really tough. Madrid is a fast air, and fast, especially with the Dunlop Fort clay court ball, it can really move fast through the air. But what Spain did, and both Dagopolov and Steakhouse said during the week, they kept piling up more and more top dressing, more clay on top of the surface. Dirt, like crushed brick, just piling it on. And you could see it when I saw some of the play, and the dirt was flying everywhere. So while the base is still pretty hard, and overall the air is quick, it's still on the medium to medium fast side. It wasn't that bad. And the ball was still jumping up in the air, though, which really helps Nadal. So basically, though, because Dagopolov likes that kind of condition, where it's a little bit slow on the surface, but a fast air, so he can manipulate his drop shots, do his angles, his little tricks, and yet have enough speed to get it through the court quick. So I think an informed Dagopolov had this match. He did win the first set, but Verdasco finally started getting a beat on the match. And then when Dagopolov, it basically, under pressure, just is real out of form, and he just can't handle the pressure. He went down 6-4. Now it was 1-0, and there was kind of no pressure on him, and he jumped up again 3-zip in the third set, and as soon as he realized, oh, I could win this, Verdasco blasted back again, and Dolgopolov got tight again. And you can see it in his serving. He was hitting all first serves until the pressure at 3-love, the pressure, suddenly second serves. You know, so it's just, he's got to get himself back in form, and then physically, too, we have no idea where he's at. He's had physical problems all year, and he really seemed to bail out in that last set, like, physically didn't look fit. So he's got to get himself mentally and physically back in line again. He's playing way below his talent level. Verdasco's playing pretty well. They asked him if he was nervous. I wouldn't call it nerves. I just think Dolgopolov is too tough, but Verdasco pulled it together. So, and Dolgopolov kind of failed at the end. And Verdasco likes the medium-fast clay court. Nadal Steakhouse, I thought this could be somewhat of a challenge. Unbelievable. Nadal just pops in from the U.S. Open, gets right into form on the clay court. Yes, Madrid's good for him, especially when it's a little slower like this, and it's still medium fast and high, and that's probably why he killed Steakhouse. It was too high of a bounce. The Spanish are incredibly smart at these conditions. They always act like it's not about conditions, but they are so smart. You know, I was wondering, why would they pick a faster clay court? Go slower. But Nadal's going to be tired, and so is Verdasco right now. Everybody's tired right now. So nobody's going with a real slow clay court because everybody's too tired for that. So the next best thing, high bounce, and you'll get that at Madrid. And Nadal loves a high bounce. Steakhouse does not. So that was a murder. He murdered him. And that's the end of that. So Spain should have no problems there. Holland, they use that special Dunlop Fort ball, the Max TP, and it's a kind of a light ball. Federer loved it. He really whipped up on Holland back last year's Davis Cup because he loves a light, airy ball that he could just play around with, drop shots, fling it around, angles, and can really control it like ping pong. Well, give Haase and DeBaker tons of credit, especially DeBaker, because Meltzer can play fast, but DeBaker really used the ball to its advantage. The clay court was relatively slowish, but the ball's pretty quick, so overall it wasn't that slow, and it couldn't be because Haase and DeBaker wouldn't be good if it's too slow. Haase used his power. What happened here, Maroc is an old guy who hasn't played singles in 4 years. Heidermar was supposed to go, and he got sick the night before, so that was a joke. And then Meltzer, who won North Carolina event right before the U.S. Open, but then kind of tired himself out because he had all kinds of surgery right before that. He looks like he's worn out a bit, but he played a tough match. He won the first set, lost a close second one, won the third, and he had chances to win the third set. I think he had set points in the second set, so he could have swept this 3 sets, love, and he could have won it still 3 sets to 1 in the fourth, and then he never got it. And at the crucial times, DeBaker played big, aggressive, big serves, but also patience. The clay was kind of slow, so it was tricky. Ball fast, clay slow, air slow. So DeBaker was patient enough, but also took it quick. Meltzer tried to get real aggressive near the end on those big points, and it backfired. So great stuff by DeBaker. And then that last set, Meltzer, I just think, was worn out from it all. It was a real struggle that whole time, and he just wore out at the end. So incredible big victory, and now the Netherlands way more in control. Everybody thought that was going to be a barn burner, and now it might be a blowout. Everybody expected a blowout only because it is in Croatia. They use Umag, which is sort of a slow clay court, but it's not as bad as it is in the summer. Even though it's hotter in the summer, there's so much humidity from winds that blow up, believe it or not, from Africa and across the Mediterranean, across Italy, and they jam right into Umag in Croatia and really make a pile of hot, humid air. Even though it's less hot, so you think it would be slower in September, it's a lot less humidity and not a lot quicker, but a little bit quicker. And it's easier to play in, too. So that's not going to hurt England too bad. It would have been worse for England in the summer. But also the big problem is no Cilic, no Karlovic. Doddage is all by himself here, and a young kid who just won the U.S. Open Juniors, Coric. Well, he went up against Murray. He actually played tough the first set, but Murray kind of wore him down. Coric said he just wasn't used to that kind of physical play. You don't get that on the juniors. So Murray won that. And then Daniel Evans was just exhausted from his great run this summer and at the U.S. Open as well. And Doddage took him. And Doddage didn't look pretty tired too himself, but he was stronger than Evans. So it's 1-1, but I don't think Doddage is going to be able to handle Murray, so it's probably going to be over on the weekend. Switzerland, Ecuador was the upstart this year. The young Gomez, who played for USC, and his buddy Quirez, I think I'm saying that right, he plays on USC as well, but he's a little younger. He's still on USC. Gomez is the son of Andre Gomez, who was the French Open champion in 1990, and Quirez is the nephew of Andre Gomez. So anyways, this Emilio Gomez is a big-time prospect. but he's got some more to work. I mean, Wawrinka is on fire. He was a little tired. He admitted his shoulder was bothering him a little bit from his great U.S. Open run, but good enough to beat Gomez. And then Ciudanelli. This is a funny story. Not funny, but Laaksonen, who's the former Finnish player who's now transferred over to Switzerland, was complaining that he didn't get the nod. So the Swiss coach got upset and left him in the hotel and said, "You can't come." So he wasn't even supporting the team, Laaksonen, that is. So Ciudanelli, the veteran, played in his place. And as you can see here, he took care of Campazano after losing the first set. Campazano's not bad. He's in the 200s rank. But look what they used. Rebound ace, indoor with a Wilson ball. Though it was, regular duty. See, that's going to be pretty quick. And definitely these are clay court guys from Ecuador, so that hurt them. Campazano couldn't do that. So Switzerland's in control there. What else do we have here? We have Germany. They need to get their butts back in gear and get back into a world group. They're too good. They took care of Brazil because look what they use. Also rebound ace. Rebound ace isn't that fast, but indoors it's on a rubber mat. It depends on how much sanding. Germany was calling it medium, and it did look like there was a decent amount of sand, but look at the ball. Just like the U.S. Open this year was all about the ball, so is this. Dunlop Fort Tournament. This is all about the ball. That is a ball they used in the clay court event in Hamburg a couple of years ago, and it's oblong. It's almost oblong shaped, which means it's going to really lay flat to the ground. It's really going to bounce low and get through the court. It's really good for offense and trickery and debauchery. and fooling around, drop shots, little dinks and dunks, slices. I mean, Florian Mayer loved it back in Hamburg, and he loves it again. That's his game, dinks and dunks, playing around. He's incredibly talented, but he needs help on the power side. And when he gets a little added power, like you can get from this ball, then he's good to go. So indoor hard court for the Brazilians, who are clay courters all the way, that was bad enough. Then you add this ball in, forget it. So Dutra Silva fought hard. Kohlschreiber was definitely looking weary from his good U.S. Open run. But he couldn't handle it. Once Kohlschreiber started dinging the ball around like a ping pong, forget it. And Florian Mayer, ping pong all the way. Bellucci was so frustrated. He even said after, I just couldn't get the ball up. It was too low. It's that simple. It was too low and he couldn't deal with it. He said it. So he didn't say it was the Dunlop Fort tournament. He just said it was too low. And they said, well, what would you recommend for Dutra Silva against Florian Mayer? And he said, try to keep the ball up. And good luck with that ball. Okay, anyway, Poland, so Germany's in control there. Poland and Austria looked like a good one until Janowicz pulled out with the back injury he's been having all summer. Without him, Piersney's been injured all summer after a great year. And the only guy left is Kubat, who looks absolutely fatigued after Wimbledon. So Poland is a walking wounded. They may win their doubles tomorrow with their great team of Fritzberg and Mikelis, but that will probably be it. Hewitt is in great form again later in the year like this. It's great to see that. He's in the best physical shape in years for him. And he just, even though it's clay, it was indoor. Again, nothing's that slow. It can't be that slow. Though they did make the clay a little slower like Spain did by adding clay, but that just hurts Kubat, actually. And it did. I mean, he couldn't get the ball through the court fast enough, even with the Dunlop Fort clay court. Plus, Poland is very wet, a moist area climate-wise, so that seeps into the arena. So overall, it was relatively slow conditions, even with the Dunlop Fort clay court ball. And it was just he couldn't get the ball past Hewitt on returns. On his serve, and then once he couldn't get his serves, he was overhitting his ground strokes, and it was a mess. Piersney's not in fitness shape. Tomic didn't even play that hard, in my opinion. He just did what he had to do. He got the breaks, a couple breaks here and there, and he won. That's it. But a real veteran performance by Tomic. I mean, why kill yourself? You have one more rubber to go. Okay, and then the last couple ones are going to be good ones, boy. This one's in Belgium. Pretty slow clay, but a fast Babolat team ball. This is not the Babolat they use at the French Open. This is faster. This is more for hard courts, but this can really fly through a clay court. So an interesting mix because Belgium is known for its slow air too, like Poland, very slow and humid. And so slow air. The surface looks pretty slow. Decent amount of pretty moist clay top dressing, but the ball is very quick. So in the first round, Sela said he was just so frustrated because he needs a quick game because he's older and he's little and he wears down, so he has to play quick. Darcis can play quick as he beat Nadal in Wimbledon, or slower and play defense. Well, in this, what he would do was bide his time, play some defense, frustrate Sela, then blast the ball with that fast ball. It was perfect for him, and he killed Sela. Bemelmans not having the fitness this year. not having a good year or the form because of that. He fought hard, as you can see. He won the first set, lost a couple, he lost the first set, then won a couple. He was up 2-1, and then he was up a break in the fourth. So he was up 2-1 and a break, and then he lost it all. And he actually he lost the break, went up a break again, then lost it again, and then he lost the tie break. Then a tough last set, and Weintraub pulled it out. It was just an incredible fight from the Israel Weintraub. And by the way, they had to go early. They also had their doubles already, but we'll kind of just skip the doubles. And they did their doubles on Friday. They have to go early because of Yom Kippur on Saturday. They're not going to play Saturday. The Israelites, they won't play. So they've already had their doubles too. But like I said, I'll say the doubles with the doubles in my next video, with the other doubles. But anyways, great fight by Weintraub. It's funny that this surface actually kind of backfired because Bemelmans needs it a little quicker, kind of like Sela. And Weintraub, even though he doesn't like clay, the ball was really suiting him. He even said it felt like a hard court ball, and it is. He's right. So, you know, he didn't say a hard court ball, but it felt like a hard court. So there you go. So this kind of backfired, but now we wonder, will Weintraub have anything left for? Well, if he doesn't play doubles, he'll have a lot of time off till Sunday, because this was played Thursday. So it will be interesting. This is going to go down the wire. Then last but not least, Japan and Colombia, the last of the World Group playoffs. In Japan, they were going to have it outdoors, but then they decided at the last second to close the roof. I don't know if it was rain, or maybe it's just because they wanted a faster conditions, and they got it. This DecoTurf is fast. This is Ariake Coliseum, where they're going to play the ATP event at the end of the month, and I can guarantee you they will be adding another layer of paint with more sand for the ATP event. This is faster than any event you'll have on the ATP. It's a fast surface. The streaks and balls relatively quick these days because, like all the rest of the balls have gotten slower, the streaks and ball really hasn't. So it used to be a slower one. Now it's actually faster comparatively. So a little bit faster. But overall, conditions fast. Not the air in Tokyo, but the conditions in that court. It's slippery quick. And Nishikori just took it so quick. Fala, who can play fast clay courts, couldn't even keep up. Nishikori is a master. He would have beaten Nadal, and I'm not kidding you. He would have beaten Nadal on these conditions the way he was playing. Just bam, 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 ping pong. Absolutely ping pong. Sueda tried the same thing, except the problem is Sueda did... he actually lost the first set, but then took the next one. What happened is Geraldo has a new coach and is being really aggressive now. And he can do ping pong for a clay quarter. He's about the best ping pong. I mean, Fala can a little bit too, but Geraldo really can. He has a big serve too for a little guy, a thin guy. So he's tall, but he's thin. So he just very aggressive on Sueda, but then kind of tired out. He's physically always having the tired problem, fatigue. And then Sueda got one. Then Geraldo blasted him again, barely pulled out the third, and then tired again. And then finally at the end, though, with Sueda, who just didn't have enough left. Sueda's been exhausted all year himself, more than Geraldo. So I think Geraldo is more mental. He just mentally wears down a bit, but he did what he had to do. He did get it in 5 sets, but that might hurt him for his next one against Nishikori. So that if he would have stayed focused and done that in 3 sets, that might have been a Colombia victory in the end. But now, even if Colombia wins the doubles, that's going to be tough because he played so long with Sueda. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's a while. You should watch some of this. I recommend this highly. It's really fast tennis. You don't see any more on the tour. And then last but not least, we have the World Group semifinals. And we'll go with the one that wasn't quite as... This is Nova Cushion indoor. They don't say it there, but it's Nova Cushion on wood boards. It's odd. They don't put cushion on boards because boards already give you cushion. So I asked the guy who runs Nova Acrylic, or one of the guys, I said, why did they ask for that? And he goes, I don't know. It's odd, but they wanted the cushion. Maybe to try to keep the effect of the wood boards out of the picture. I don't know. But the bottom line was they used it against Spain. It was relatively quick. They were talking like it was so fast against Spain. It wasn't that fast, like medium fast. But now it looks a little faster. The sanding's a little better, a little faster this time around. And also the head ball. They used the, I think a Wilson ball against Spain, but that was jumping up in the air a lot. This head ball is staying real low, so it's effectively maybe a little slower speed-wise, the head ball, but it stays lower because it's heavier and it still has a lot of pop. And so effectively, and also because of the reduced less sanding, a little bit less sand, it's really going pretty fast. It's fast. It's faster than when they played Spain, that's for sure, in my opinion. And Monaco jumped out on Stepanik a break up because Stepanik was kind of recovering from his U.S. Open, the doubles he won the doubles title, and he's just coming back from injury and all that. So he was down a break, but then he also didn't understand the surface. Monaco was actually being the aggressive one and blasting him off the court. Then Stepanek decided not to try to hit it too hard. You don't have to on the surface. Try to ping pong it, just pop the ball around, get to the net, and it worked brilliantly. He broke back, won the tie break, and then Monaco couldn't do anything. Stepanek really got in a groove, and it was ping pong city. Bing, 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 moving the ball around, getting to the net, finishing at the net quick. And Monaco was running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He simply takes too big a stroke. He's a clay court guy like Nadal would be, just taking too big a stroke. This is like old school tennis, the way they did it in the old days, where you don't even take the racket back that far. Half swings, bam, 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 and that's it. That's another variety that is inherent in the game of tennis. It's all tennis. We should see it all the time, in my opinion. The other match, Berdych, he takes a little bit of a bigger swing, but Leonardo Meyer takes a really bigger swing. So I thought Meyer might suffer on this surface, but he actually went up the break, then lost it, and then Berdych, or he almost went up the break but didn't get it, maybe. Or maybe he did get the break, whatever, but Berdych came back and then he broke at the end and won 6-4. What amazed me was, well, Berdych isn't serving as good as he is. Like I said in my U.S. Open time, that he has, I think he's having some body problems, maybe some shoulder issues. His serve's not that good right now. But what amazed me was he still has it. He takes it quicker and he's more athletic than Meyer. But Meyer shortened his strokes in the second set and started ping-ponging around. I've never seen him do that. He really shortened the stroke, played much better, much more aggressive, and really caught Berdych off guard. So Berdych tried to up the aggression, and all he did was start making errors. He got broken at the end of the second set, and he lost the set, 6-4. So it was amazing, and Meyer was serving great. But what happened is Meyer let down, like he does, and he got broken to start the third set because Berdych simply stayed off the baseline and played a little more defense and played a little ping pong from back off the baseline and let Berdych kind of out-hit himself. He let Meyer out-hit himself. So Meyer kind of made Berdych get over-aggressive in the second set by ping-ponging, then Berdych laid off, and then let Meyer hit it out of the thing. So that's the danger when conditions are fast. It's not about power, it's about control. See? And that we don't see anymore. All we see is Djokovic and Nadal. Bam, bam. Now, that's a different game now. So it was a little cat and mouse. Meyer got the second, Berdych figured it out. He got the early break in the third and the early break in the fourth again. And Meyer served great the whole way. He was just frustrated. Losing those breaks early really screwed him. So great. People sometimes think Berdych isn't the smartest player. He's smarter than people think. More than anything, he's got physical issues, I think, more than we know. And sometimes mentally he breaks down a bit too. Okay, so Czechs are in great control there. Those conditions are not, they're just too much for the Argentines. And then finally, the big one, Serbia and Canada. Djokovic, no problem with Pospisil. You could say Pospisil was really tired from the U.S. Open, but come on, and the whole summer he's had. But Djokovic was tired too. It's mainly they added more clay on top, just like Spain did and Poland did, and it was just too slow. Pospisil can't hit through it. It's that simple, especially against Djokovic. Now Raonic, that's another story. Raonic does hit through it. He's so powerful. He went up 3-zip on Tipsarevic in the first set and then blew the set. And then Tipsarevic won 7-5. He got the break back, then he broke at the end. It was amazing. What happened is Tipsarevic was a little too passive, then he got aggressive, and then Raonic was too passive and made errors. So the second set, Raonic pumped it up, and Tipsarevic's level came down. He's been having, his energy level's been bad all year. So his level came down, Raonic took that set, but then Raonic's level came down, and he wanted to end the points quick and started trying to hurry up and end the points in the third set and got in trouble again. Then he started seeming a little tired, then he twisted his ankle. So Raonic is just tired from all his tennis this summer. Tipsarevic, it's more like he's been exhausted all year for some reason, energy-wise. But after Raonic twisted his ankle, went down 2-1 with a twisted ankle, you think, well, it's over, definitely. Because even in the first set, Raonic was looking a little tired, and I thought it was over. So after that, I thought, okay, it's definitely over. But again, Tipsarevic kind of started trying to coast in the fourth set. Raonic didn't look so good. Tipsarevic didn't look so good. They were just holding serve barely. Then all of a sudden, Raonic pumped it up again, broke serve. Tipsarevic tried to fight back and got a little stronger, but it wasn't enough, and Raonic got the fourth set, went to the fifth, and then they both were making a lot of second serves, but when they had to, they got aggressive. Now, what's interesting here is Raonic usually folds at times like this. He didn't this time. He got really aggressive when Tipsarevic got aggressive. They were both really tired. The energy was fluctuating all over in that fifth set, but when they needed the clutch serves, they got the clutch serves. Then no one got broken all the way to 8-8. Actually, right before that, Tipsarevic had set match points on Raonic, almost broke him, didn't get it, and then Raonic got the ABB, almost break. He almost got broken, then he broke. He nailed Tipsarevic, broke him to 9-8, and then served it out 10-8. It was amazing. He served it out with some aces and stuff. So he pushed up the energy just when he needed to. Amazing. Tipsarevic tried to also, because Tipsarevic's a clutch performer in Davis Cup and in his career. But, I thought he was more clutch than Raonic. I thought he was definitely going to win this one. But this is the first time, I have to say, Raonic really pushed himself through when he was not 100% fit. Great stuff. And now it's match on. I thought this would be easier for Serbia. Not now. But that surface does work. The extra clay is working big time for Serbia, no doubt about it.